My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our DUK Dogs podcast is spelt uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DUK Dogs. I am your host, Josh Miller, and I'm excited to be back with you for another podcast. So before we get rolling here, let me thank our sponsors. Thank you to Eukanuba. Eukanuba is the premium performance Sport 3020 manufacturer that we use, that blend of food here at the kennel with my personal dogs. And I can tell you guys, what you put into your dog makes a difference. And Eukanuba does a tremendous job with the science they put behind their food, the quality of food they put out. So make sure you go check them out. Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is what I personally use. They also have 2616, and if you have a puppy, they also have the Puppy Pro, which is a new formula that we are loving for our puppies. So go check them out. Also, thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your hunting and training needs as it pertains to your four-legged hunting partner. So, great people, great company. They will take care of you. www.gundogsupply.com. Also, thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka Gear is the premium clothing. We all know it's the premium clothing for hunting, but also our everyday wear. I am head to toe in it right now. And I stay more comfortable for longer, and it allows me to stay out in the field and stay mentally engaged, whether I'm training or hunting, for a much longer period of time. In hunting season, I wear less clothes and stay warmer than I ever had in the past. So go check them out, www.sitkagear.com. And also thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck has the 5-star crash test ready kennel, both in the intermediate and the large sizes. So no matter what size your dog is, you can make sure that they ride safely. So check them out, www.luckyduck.com. Well, I hope everybody has had a great start to the week. It has been, well, I don't know how it's been. It has been so crazy here weather-wise, and I'm hearing the same results from anyone in the north. My friends over in Montana had snow this week. We went from snow one week to 90 degrees to back to, I think this morning was like 48. When I got up, Mother Nature still hasn't figured out what she wants to do yet, but it's not bad training weather. And so I'm not going to complain about it. So we're getting a lot done. Love to be in the swing of season here, and a lot of great things going on. So speaking of Montana, if any of you out there are in the Montana area, I'm going to be giving a seminar at Sitka, the depot, which is their storefront. I'm going to be giving a seminar on June 4th. So mark that on your calendar, June 4th. Get over to Bozeman. If you're in the area or want a reason to get to Bozeman, go for that. Not only are we going to sit down, we're going to give a seminar on the 4th, but you need to see that store. That is a sweet store, and they have some apparel in that store that you can find online, and so it's just a sweet deal. So go check that out. Would love to see anyone and everyone there. And this is just one of the many reasons why I love the company partners that we have. Going to get and do these cool things in these cool areas. I'm really looking forward to it. So, Montana area, mark it on your calendar. June 4th, get to Sitka. It'll be awesome. So, also, while I'm thinking about it, if you have not done it yet, go take advantage of the $100 off deal that I'm giving to all of the listeners here for Retriever Roadmap. So go to Retriever Roadmap. If you need any guidance at all with your training, you need to get on that app. I cannot tell you how many people are sending messages and sending reviews and sending testimonials of how much they love this thing. I've made it super, super affordable. I'm making it even more affordable by giving you that $100 off. All you have to use is the code DUK Dogs, DUKDOGS, at checkout, no spaces. DUK Dogs, DUKDOGS. Use that code at checkout. It'll give you $100 off. It's the cheapest way to get into this thing. It'll be great for you guys. So I've just been loving seeing all the progress that people are making at home with their dogs through that program. So go check it out, www.retrieverroadmap.com. You will not regret that you did. So, man, like it's really funny how fun this podcast has gotten, because the messages that I get, the number of messages that I got from people wanting to help me with my golf game after last episode's confession that I had with the new things that I'm challenging myself with this year was fantastic. So thank you guys so much for caring about me enough to offer that up. I appreciate it. I can tell you that I feel like I'm getting better. And then just when I feel like I'm getting better, I feel like I'm getting worse. So here, let me break this down, because this is a great dog train piece of advice here, is knowing when to stop. Okay, so I've had Brett Ayers on this show a couple times. He's the one that has done all the videography work for Retriever Roadmap. So periodically he comes back to record more things to put on the site, and that library continues to grow and continues to get better. So he was up here last week. Now, Brett was a golf coach, a high school golf coach. And so while he was here, and I'm so dedicated at getting better at my golf game, I made sure that we were able to even just take 1 hour, get over to the range, hit some golf balls, and have him critique my form and hopefully get better, right? There's nothing better than having a coach direct you on what you should be doing when you are not an expert in that field. So I had Brett go with me, and I had gradually felt like I was getting better and better, right? Wasn't slicing as bad with my driver, still was. My irons were getting way better. But spending that hour with Brett, who knew what to do, could look at me and say, this is what you need to work on, this is what you're doing, wrong, was incredibly valuable. I got so much out of that. I was hitting my irons beautifully, fantastically. I had actually gotten to the point that I wasn't slicing at all. Oh, with my driver, somebody learned how to putt. For those of you that are Happy Gilmore fans, and if you're not, my goodness, that's such a classic. But I was getting way better, right? Getting confident, getting better, progressing. And after Brett went home, I had another day at the range. I honestly felt like I could have gone to the PGA that day. Like, I felt super, super good. So then yesterday, Whitney and I, my wife, we get caught in these moments that we work, and then all of a sudden, like, we look at each other and we're like, when's the last time we did something together, right? So we had one of those moments where we're like, let's just go to the driving range. Now, naturally, coming off the couple of times that I felt really good, I walked down to that driving range feeling very confident. And I was terrible. I mean, I was awful. I was slicing worse than I ever had. I couldn't hit my irons at all. I was topping everything. I was all over the place. I was topping everything, and then I thought I made the right adjustment, and then I'm like hitting the ground like way behind the ball. Like, what in the world is going on? And I decided to just be done. I had got through probably half bucket of balls, and I just decided to be done. Whitney, who was actually swinging really well, again, got some help from Brett. And this is where I believe women do a better job taking direction and then absorbing it than men do. Because Whitney was like taking everything that Brett told her, was applying it, was looking great. and I don't know what in the world I was doing. Like, it felt like the first week out of the womb where you're just like flailing around and trying to make something make sense. Like, that's exactly how I felt on that driving range. And but I stopped, and Whitney said, well, why don't you keep going? Like, think about it, fix it, and you have another half bucket there, like, get better. And the reason I stopped is not because I was quitting, not because I was pouting, not anything like that, but it was because I had been doing so well that I just knew that I was off. Something was wrong, something wasn't feeling right, and I didn't want to continue to give my body the opportunity to create this now bad muscle memory and now give myself something else to overcome and conquer and fight the next couple times out on the range. I just decided to be done. I'm just going to erase that day from my memory, and then I'm going to go back. I was hoping today, but the day's really winding down and getting away from me. But go back, blank slate, hopefully get back to where I was. Why I think that's so important when it relates to our dog training is that I've been hearing a lot of people that have talked about that they have a frustrating session and they know the dog's better than that. They know the dog, he's just distracted for some reason. He wasn't himself. And when I kind of dig into how did the session go, it was they kept pushing until they just got fed up enough to be done. And it's amazing how, as these conversations continue to go, and I continue to stay up on what's going on, it's amazing to understand how many people are seeing repercussions for the next 2 to 3 training sessions because of the damage they did in the one. You got to know when to not train. When it's just not the right day. Like, your dog's better than this, but for whatever reason, something's off. We have off days too. We have days we're not mentally into it. We have days we know we're not ourselves. Can't tell you why, but know we're not ourselves. Know when not to train, because what happens, generally speaking, is we as humans get frustrated and let emotions take over, and nothing positive comes from that. Now, everyone's different, right? You might be sitting there going, man, I'm pretty chill. Like, I really don't get frustrated. Not a big deal. Okay, that's cool. But if you're sitting there going, I know that my temper can get the best of me. I know that I can get frustrated. I know that I get angry. I know that this is just, something that really irritates me quickly. Just know when to shut it down. A mentor of mine once told me that he believed, and I also believe this, you cannot screw a dog up unless you lose your temper. Now, I don't fully believe that, because I think there's a lot of things you can do to screw a dog up by not losing your temper. But generally speaking, I would say that's true. The more times than not, when I've seen a dog that is completely off, whether it's a confidence issue, whether it's a fear issue, whether it's a socialization issue, a lot of times there was some sort of action out of anger, out of frustration, out of being fed up that caused it. Take a chill, take a breath. You're good. So with that, I want to give you what I'm calling a check-in challenge. So if you have followed the podcast here for any amount of time, you know I'm a very big goal-oriented person. I love writing goals down. I love looking at those goals. I love achieving those goals. And if you haven't, let me recap. When you have a dream and you put pen to paper and you write it down, you make that dream real. You make it tangible. You make it something that you can see, touch, and feel. It's now real. So now that you have a goal, now it's not just a dream, now it's a goal. This is something that's going to happen. Now you take that goal and you create steps of how you're going to make that happen. I want my dog to run blind retrieves. That's great. Where are you at? Well, my dog does steadied marks, retrieves the hand, on-off lead obedience. Okay, great. So how are you going to get from where you are to where you want to go? Well, my subset goals are going to be, I'm going to play baseball, 3-way cast. I am going to start pile work. I'm going to run 5-point. I'm going to start putting those down. Now, not only do you have the goal, and now it's real, but you now have your roadmap of how you're going to get there. And what happens is that these goals and these dreams that turn into goals, that they seem so unattainable and they are so far up there and there's no way I can reach that. All of a sudden, these steps that you have just put down are now rungs on a ladder. Okay, so the first step is baseball 3-way casting. Oh, well, I can reach that rung. And now once I'm up on that rung of the ladder, well, now all of a sudden, the next rung, well, I can grab that one, right? And now the next one seems easy, and then before you know it, here you are. If you don't write it down and you don't make it real, you're going to talk about it, you're going to talk about it, you're going to talk about it, and here we're going to be in October, and you're likely not going to be any closer to that dream than what you were here in May. Make it real. But the reason that I want to do a check-in challenge with you here in May, end of May, but it's in May, is I want you to look at what your goals are and how close you are to achieving them for a couple reasons. One, you may find yourself way further ahead than what you thought you would be. That's great. Reevaluate and create other goals. Keep things moving forward. But more realistic than probably, well, I'm just going to say the majority of us, what we probably find ourselves in is the boat of, well, it's only May. Like, I want this done in October, so I'm really not concerned about it, right? I've got dance, I've got kids baseball, work's like, up a wall right now. Like, I've just got too much going on. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. But May turns to June. June turns to July. And before you know it, you're going to be scrambling in August, September to try to get everything done that you were wanting to get done here. Check in with yourself today. Check in with yourself and see where you are, because you'd rather catch this early than catch this later on. You want to make sure you're being successful, and you want to make sure that you keep pushing. So this is a great check-in time. So that's my challenge to you today, is to check in with yourself. Check in. Check in. Jeez, that was kind of weird. I had like a voice frog there. Okay, so I want to share with you guys something that I witnessed and saw that made me really think about a topic. And I'm going to kind of, I'll ramble a little bit on this, because I think this is so important. As you learned in the last episode, which, by the way, was not an easy thing. That was completely unplanned. Didn't regret doing it, really. But I had no intention of telling you guys what my new tasks or my new goals are with the golfing and the calf roping. And somebody actually sent me a message on Instagram being like, wow, man, like, why haven't you talked about this before? And part of this is because, like, there's got to be some things I do for me, right? Like, I don't want to share everything. Like, you wouldn't know this from everything that we put on social media. I share with you here on the podcast, but I'm a pretty private person, and I like me stuff. I just want to do this for me. Right? So I had no intention. As a matter of fact, I told Whitney that I wanted no one knowing that I was even roping until I got to the point that I was actually going to go try to compete in my first rodeo. So that ship sailed last week, completely unintentional. But there was something interesting that happened at my roping practice. So I have a few friends, one of them being my old horse vet that I told you about here last week, and they have a few kids that rope in high school rodeos, or actually they do more than just rope, but they compete in high school rodeos, and so they get together and a couple times a week they practice, so they've got their horses, they've got, calves, they've got the whole 9 yards, and it's really a fun thing to sit and watch. And I have learned more about what I should be doing, what I need to improve on, and what not to do from just sitting back and watching. It has been fantastic for me to do that. But there was something that one of these kids did that, quite frankly, was irritating to watch. And I think it's a great reminder for all of us as we work with our dogs. So what was happening is that this kid, when I say kid, he's probably 18. He's probably been on a horse his whole life. I have no idea. But he's riding this horse that he's just trying to fight with him, right? So like the horse wasn't moving exactly how he wanted him to. And you could tell the kid, he just got pissed. And he let his emotions get the best of him. So what he was doing is he was really hard on the bit, right? So he's pulling those reins into him. You can tell, this horse his head is up and back, and you can tell he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's wanting to back up. And then what the kid's doing is he's taking his rope because he's upset, and he's trying to push this horse forward, and he's smacking him in the ass, smack, smack, smack. Now he's wanting the horse to go forward, but everything in that horse's mouth is telling him to go backwards. So he's wanting to go backwards, smack, he wants to go forward, and then he wants to hang up, and he's going, and the kid's getting frustrated because the horse isn't going forward. Because he was so clouded with his own emotion, he didn't understand how he was trying to speak. He was basically speaking English and Spanish to a horse that spoke French. He had no idea what he wanted. The horse had no idea what the rider wanted him to do. And then, probably the worst part of the whole thing, and then the horse naturally over this time, right, of like, finally he's like, you know what? The smack that I'm getting is worse than this bit pressure, so I'm going to push forward. Because he's got to do one of the two, right? He pushes forward, does exactly what the kid wants, and he doesn't let the pressure off the bit. He continues to hold. So he finally goes forward and goes, and then all of a sudden the horse gets to a stop point and stops, and then he gets back on it, and I said, whoa, 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 whoa. So I actually step in here, right? Which probably isn't my place because his dad's there and everybody else, but I'm like, look, man, you have to understand that this horse does not speak English. He doesn't know what you're asking. He's trying to do what you're asking him. So if you're going to smack him, that's fine, but you better tell him when he's doing it right. Tell him by loosening up the bit. Tell him by giving him a pat on the neck. Tell him, good boy. Do something. He's not a tool, right? Our dogs are not tools, right? We can't just smack this nail until it gets in that piece of lumber enough and then be like, good riddance, walk on. And why I thought this was such an interesting thing as it relates to our dog training is that I feel that a lot of us could do a better job at this. I feel like a lot of us can push and push and push. And when the dog's doing it wrong, we're frustrated. When the dog's doing it wrong, we're irritated. When the dog's doing it wrong, we're like, edgy. But then the dog does it right. And instead of letting him know, in our head we're going, finally. Like, throw a party. Tell him, good boy. You know how often I sound like a complete idiot while I'm training? Because I'm, yeah, good boy, woo, 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 woo. I'm doing everything in my power to let the dog know that they're doing it right. That is an important thing as it goes towards your and the dog's relationship. One thing that I started doing a couple of years ago, and it really, really helped me. So my routine is I pull the trailer out, I get the dogs out of the trailer for the training session, right? So I'm just going to use the example of Tucker. Okay, so I go out, go let Tucker out. So I open the door. Now, you do not choose when you leave. I'm going to release you out of that trailer. Okay, so I open the door, wait on my time. Tucker, good. He comes out, heel. We heel to wherever we're going to go. We do our work, right? After we get done with the session, I come back, I put them back in the trailer. Now, whether I just had the most frustrating session I've ever had, or just had the most successful session I've ever had, when they hop in that trailer, I have them come around and I make sure that I give them a good pet. Maybe I'll kiss them on the nose. Like, I'll do something just to let them know, one, our relationship is still good. This is even more important when you've had a really frustrating, sessions. But like, hey, we're good. I love you. We're buddies, right? It has really helped me a lot, because what would happen is when we had a really frustrating session, first off, the dog knows when we had a frustrating session. I don't have to tell him. He can feel it. So if I just got back to the trailer, put him in, slammed the door, was frustrated, moved on to the next dog, that dog is in there going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So then I take him back out later. Naturally, he's going to be edgy. He's going to be off, right? But when they have a great session, I let them know. We throw a party. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Here's what's so interesting about dogs and dog trainers. You watch so the number one comment that I get when I go to a hunt test, and the number one, probably the same comment, but probably it's probably the one I'm most proud of, is people come up to me that I have no idea who they are and say, Josh, it was so fun watching you handle. Like, you can just tell that your dogs love you, that they enjoy working, and just like, it was just fun watching you interact with them. I think that too many times people have this it's like this macho, I got to be a tough guy when I'm a dog person. As a matter of fact, a lot of people will tell you that most dog trainers are very, very difficult people to be friends with, are very difficult people to communicate with. And I believe it's because, one, they communicate with dogs all day. But then two, their employees, which I'm going to say are the dogs, do everything they want, when they want, at the snap of a finger, and they can be extremely dominant on them all the time. I can see how that personality is very difficult to befriend. And it's so easy because our dogs want to please us more than anything else in this world, right? If everything else fails, they want us to be happy. Most of them. There are the exceptions. There are the exceptions of those dogs that are like, nope, I'm doing this for me. I don't care about you. But for the most part, especially retrievers, they want you to be happy. But if they don't know when you're happy, that makes things very tough on them. You got to tell them when they're doing it right. To me, this is the significance of handling. When you are a good handler, you and your dog are on the same page. You're speaking the same language. They know what you mean when you mean it. They may not do it every time, but they know what you're talking about. They know when you're happy. They know when you're frustrated. They know when you ask them what they should be doing. And if they do it wrong, you can make a simple correction and then go, oh, you were right. I was wrong. Make the correction. Don't be like the rider in my story. You can't apply all this pressure and not tell them when they're doing it right. So, on-leash obedience. On-leash obedience, when I have a slip lead on a dog and I ask them to sit, I apply pressure. Naturally, that slip lead tightens. And as soon as that butt hits the ground, as soon as it hits the ground, pressure comes off. I just communicated you did it right. Pressure's on. The second you hit the ground, pressure comes off. You did that right. Great. Good boy. Good girl. If they did that, sit, pressure comes on. They sit down, and I keep that pressure on. I am not communicating with them that they did it right. E-collar, sit, push the button. They feel the stim, they sit down, but I keep holding the button. That's not communicating with them that they did it right. You got to let them know. There's so many ways we could dig into this, but I think it's so important from a handling standpoint. It's okay to smile. It's okay to have fun. But let them know when they do it wrong, right? You got to let them know when they do it right, too. It's kind of frustrating for me to watch that, but I'm hoping that come our next practice, which I hope is tonight, I'm hoping that he takes that into consideration, because that horse was trying to do everything he was asking. Could not figure out what it was that he was asking. But quite frankly, he wasn't communicating it. It's really interesting. Anyway, again, go to Retriever Roadmap, DUK Dogs, DUKDOGS. Put that in, get $100 off, become a member, become a part of the community. I love that community. You guys will love it too. Trust me, you're into your dogs. You're going to love this thing. Go check it out. I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I will come back with another episode here soon. So hope you guys have a great week, and remember, let your dog know when they do it right, and go check in with yourself. Check in with your goals, check in with yourself, reevaluate where you're at, and pedal down, go forward. So hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk with you again soon.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.